Hello, hello, Dean. How are you, man?
Hola, hello.
Muy bien with the Spanish, Dean.
Gracias. Cuando vive en Los Ángeles, uno aprende español. Es muy, muy importante, sí.
Yeah, because you have a lot of Latins there, right?
Sí, seguro.
Okay, perfect.
Bueno, Dean, quisiera saber cuál fue tu primer acercamiento hacia el arte y hacia el cine, particularmente.
Guille, say what was the first approach that you have with the cinema?
I went to UCLA, University of California at Los Angeles, film school. I graduated in 1968, and the very first job I had out of film school was doing makeup. I had done makeup on a fellow student's short film, and so they asked me to work on a low-budget feature with that was being done by Roger Corman, famous low-budget filmmaker. And so it started. I started working almost out of film school and went from film to film, always wanting to be the cinematographer, always wanting to use all of my experience, but to go to cinematography. And so over a period of years, I went from this very small, low-budget movie, Naked Angels, to all of the different films I've worked on. I've been very fortunate.
Totally. So, and what are the memory that you had for that moment, Dean? You have some, I don't know, some moment that you say, okay, I can do this for the rest of my life.
Well, I wanted to do film ever since I was very young, a child, maybe 12, 15 years old. So I learned, not just like in a class, but by watching films, by talking to people. I learned what was important, what was possible. And so when I finally graduated from film school, I was able to start working almost immediately, which is unusual because it can take quite a while to get into film, to get someone to let you work on films. So I knew very early in my life what I wanted to do. I've been very fortunate to be able to actually do it.
Alguien alguna vez me dijo que ser director de fotografía es pintar con la luz, ¿no? ¿Qué es para vos, Dean, ser un director de fotografía? En pocas palabras, ¿qué es ser un director de fotografía?
Well, it's very easy to say the cinematographer, director of photography, is the one who lights the set. Person who, as you say, paints with light. And I think that that's a very important idea, that being in charge of the lights allows you to create the mood, the style, the environment where the story takes place. And it sets the mood for dramatic or comedy or horror or science fiction, whatever. So the lighting is important, but it's easy to say that's what the cinematographer does. I think the real sort of explanation is that the cinematographer is in charge of taking the director's image for the movie, the director's desires for storytelling, and then turn them into images. And that's not just with the lighting. It is, where does the camera go to see what at any particular time? What lens do you choose to create mood? So it's all about telling the story with visual images, with everything you have at your fingertips, your ability, and I think it's important to understand that everything the audience sees and experiences and the mood they have all comes from what the cinematographer does and what the director does, and how the cinematographer uses the director's desire to tell a story in a way that is important to the story, the lighting, camera movement, and helping a director choose. Very often I work with directors who will say, well, let's do a shot like this, and I will think about it and say, well, it might be good if the shot was actually over here, and with a wider lens or whatever. And I try to help the director tell the story the best way possible for the audience.
Dean tuvo una época en la que trabajó en muchas películas, digamos, de explotación, películas de terror, durante los 70, pero hubo una particularmente que lo llevó a ser quien es hoy en día, lo catapultó de alguna manera, que fue Halloween de John Carpenter de 1978, que de alguna manera creo que marcó un antes y un después en el cine de terror. Ahora, lo que le quiero preguntar a Dean particularmente es cómo llegó a Halloween y cuál fue su razonamiento a la hora de darle el look a la película.
So, Dean, basically, Guille said that in 1978 you directed the photography of Halloween, right? It's a film that marked a before and after in horror cinema. How did you come to that project, and what were the bases of the photography and the style that is so marked still today, right?
Ajá. Sí, pues primero me gusta Michael Myers en la pared atrás del señor. Pero before Halloween, I began working on very small, low-budget movies. They were dramatic movies. They were ones you had to use the camera to tell the story, and the lighting and all of the choices you make for the images. So over a period of a I don't know, a couple of years, or maybe 3, I did low-budget action movies to teach me how to go past what is available in the small amount of time you have when you are shooting. How to make that better, how to be more dramatic, how to combine 2 or 3 different shots into one that moves so that you can get more work done and more style. And when in doing those, I think some of them got noticed because I worked with the same director for 5 different movies, and another director for 2, and so forth. Some of the crew people on those movies, they they had contacts with John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, and they were the producer and director of Halloween, and they asked if I was interested in shooting this small horror film. And I said, yes, I would be delighted. What was nice is that it was the first time I worked with John Carpenter, and he was very talented. Unlike some of the other directors I've worked with who were interested in, just simple storytelling with the camera. John Carpenter wanted to tell the story in a dramatic new way, which was very good because it gave me the opportunity to show my experience and how I could help a director tell the story in the proper way. And so I think it was a great experience, but of course it was very important because it gave me exposure to other better directors than I had worked with previously. And so I think it was an opportunity in doing Halloween to show how I could become a part of the visual storytelling. And when it came out and people noticed that, it was good because I began to get more work on bigger and better movies.
Was the kickoff for the next step, right, in the career thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Sí.
Que a más de 40 años del estreno de Halloween, sigue estando en nuestra memoria la estética y el estilo de Halloween. ¿A qué se debe que nosotros 40 años después nos acordemos de la estética y el estilo de Halloween?
So, more than 50 years after Halloween premiere passed, right? So,
Sí.
the aesthetic and the style of Halloween still remain in our memory today. So, what do you think why that happens?
It gave all of us the opportunity to show what we could do as storytellers. So I think that it's very nice that 50 years later, people are still making movies that are about Michael Myers and Halloween. And not that they're all good, it's usually the first one of a bunch of those movies that is the best. It's the reason people decide to make another. So the original Halloween grabbed the attention of the audience, and it's nice to know that there was enough appreciation by the audience that 50 years later we're still enjoying it.
Con Carpenter rodó 5 películas: Halloween, La Niebla, La Cosa, Escape de Nueva York, Masacre en el Barrio Chino. Mi pregunta es, ¿cómo es el proceso? Si él tuviera que obtener un resultado o dar una definición de cómo es el proceso de trabajar con John Carpenter, después de esa cantidad de películas filmadas. Me gustaría saber eso, cómo fue el proceso de haber trabajado con Carpenter en 5 películas y qué puede decir al respecto acerca de él como director.
Dean, basically, since Halloween, you shot 4 more movies with John Carpenter, right?
Sí.
So how did continuity come about, and what was the process of working with him like? Why do you think the reason that he wants to continue work with you and you with him? And if you can say something about the process or the methodology of the way of working of Carpenter that makes some difference regarding another directors, right?
Well, I would say that my experiences, my 5 films with John Carpenter were very successful because John understood how to tell a story using the camera, the visual images. And so the 5 films I did with him, each one was better than the one before for storytelling, but also for budget that gave you the opportunity to do bigger and better things, shoot a longer schedule, all of the things that can help create a more interesting film. So I appreciated, I think, the most that John was interested in the image, not in just the words, the locations or whatever. It was always about how does it all come together to create a moment, a scene, characters, whatever, in a way that grabs the attention of the audience, and gets them to buy into, that is, associate with the characters, the story, the time, the location, and everything. And so I think that I think that the the most important aspect of working with someone like John Carpenter is the fact that it opens the door to your own creativity. Often on other shows, I would say, well, this scene is important. Let's put the camera here. And we can see that, and the director, who is maybe, in some cases doing their first or second or third film, instead of listening and seeing the shot and saying, oh, that's good for this scene or this character, whatever, very often they say, no, I want to put the camera over here. And it can be less storytelling, it can be less dramatic, and very often I'll try to explain why I think it would be better to put a camera here or to have them stand in the dark or whatever. And if the director can be guided politely, very often you get a better result.
Totally.
Other times the director will say, no, I want to do this.
Yeah.
And you have to go along with that.
Yeah, narcissism is in all the places.
See?
Yeah, so he is an open person, right? Professionally, he's open to listen or hear new ways to see, right, the drama and the aesthetic. I think for what you mentioned, right, that he's a person that is good to work with, because you can collaborate and add value, because I mean, you know about this, you know a lot Dean, about photography, no? So I think that the other person have to be smart to know that you know about this. So Carpenter have that quality, yeah.
Exacto.
Guille.
Ahora podríamos pasar al año 1985. El trabajo de Dean Cundey con Robert Zemeckis es alucinante. Pasamos del cine de terror al cine de aventura. Lo que me interesaría saber es cómo vivió Dean su trabajo con Robert Zemeckis una vez que lo convocó para Volver al Futuro.
I think that Bob Zemeckis is also one of my favorite directors, because he was also interested in using the camera to tell the story, which is obvious that we should do that. But he also, his films were different. They weren't John Carpenter horror or drama or action or whatever. For Zemeckis, he wanted to make films that saw a different audience, you know, an audience that liked adventure, action, comedy, that kind of thing. So it was a wonderful experience to work with Zemeckis, because it gave me a chance to do storytelling for a different kind of film. It would have been easy, and I was very careful not to do just horror films. After Halloween, I got phone calls to always work on somebody's horror film. Halloween was sort of a first of the new horror films. And everybody, when it was successful, said, oh, yes, we must make one of those too. So I got a lot of phone calls about other people wanting to make horror films. And so I tried to not get stuck in that one area. I wanted to do also comedy, action, fantasy, all of the things that Bob Zemeckis enjoyed doing. So it was a case of, again, good teamwork, I think, with the people on a film. The writers were good, the actors were good, all of the production value, the scenery and everything was good. And so when it's good and it's up here, it makes you want to accomplish more, and it gives you a chance to accomplish more, because you're working with people who also understand the needs of a film, how to tell the story of a particular kind of film. And so I very much enjoyed everything I did with Robert Zemeckis, from the beginning with Romancing the Stone, and into the Back to the Futures, and of course Roger Rabbit.
Of course, yeah. So give me a quick question. In Back to the Future, I know that in some moment the actor changed, right? After film several scenes. Was any lighting or photography change? Because I saw photos for the other actor, and looks like the key was more slow, right? More darkness, difference. I don't know. Was some changes or some difference between shooting the first scene with the old actor and the new one with Michael Fox? Dean?
We worked for 6 weeks with the other actor, Eric Stoltz. And we had gone into probably halfway through the story and the filmmaking before Bob Zemeckis and everybody could make the change to somebody new. It was obvious when Michael J. Fox came on that he was the perfect actor for the character. And the big question was, because it was being produced by Steven Spielberg, was when Steven Spielberg saw the edited version with the original actor, he also realized, like Bob Zemeckis and most of us, that the casting was, different. It wasn't a bad performance, but it was a different kind of character. And so when we began shooting and reshooting, I asked Steven if he wanted any differences. Did he want it to be somehow, and he said, no, he liked it very much. Just keep on doing what we're doing. So we would go back and look at scenes that had been done previously and say, oh, that's good. Oh, they didn't use that shot. We won't need to shoot that one. But now it would be good if Marty went to this place in the scene. And so we were able to make little adjustments. But for the most part, Steven liked the look and the feeling of the original. So we followed that path.
Okay. Yeah. I always make that question for me and say, well, why and what will happen, right? Because basically the actor changed the tone of the movie and say maybe impact in the photography. And I have you now, friend of mine, say I will make that question. Thank you, Dean, for that.
Sí, por nada.
Guille.
Juan, podemos pasar ahora al año 1993. Acá Dean ingresa a Jurassic Park de Steven Spielberg, una de las películas más populares de la historia. ¿Qué significó haber ingresado a Jurassic Park a nivel personal y profesional?
How did Jurassic Park affect me? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sí, okay, bueno.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Gracias a mi high school Spanish teacher. Pues, well, I've been very fortunate to work on films that are very popular with the audience when they first come out, but they last a long time. I have gone to fan conventions, activities where a lot of fans of particular movies, watch them and then watch them again and then pass them on. And I will go to these conventions and a man will come up and say, oh, I love Jurassic Park or whatever. And I showed it to my son here, and he loves it too. And so there's this continuing audience that likes the film in the first place, and the rest of the audience after that likes it also for the same reasons. It's fun, it's scary, it's enjoyable storytelling. So I think that I look with a great deal of satisfaction and pride that so many of the films I've worked on are still very popular. A little romantic comedy I did with Nancy Meyers, The Holiday, is still so popular. It plays on our television or in our Netflix and so forth. It plays every month, and during the Christmas season, as we've had, it plays over and over and over. It reaches an audience that enjoys it, and they enjoy watching it again, and then they tell their friends, and then their children watch it. And as a excuse me, as a result, the film remains very, very popular. And I've been very fortunate to work on films where the story was interesting, the characters were very interesting, the director was good at understanding that and storytelling, and it gave me the opportunity to further my film storytelling, my cinematography storytelling, and taking something good from this film because the audience loved it and saying, oh yeah, I can do the same thing in this other film, and the audience will also notice or love it.
Yeah, adding to that question, Jurassic Park, I think was the first movie that I mean, we have Terminator and other movies that use digital effects, right? But Jurassic Park, I think that the 30% of that movie is digital effect, right?
Jurassic Park, for instance, originally it was going to be mostly mechanical dinosaurs with a little bit of stop motion animation. But as we were preparing, Industrial Light and Magic, the special effects, the visual effects people, said, well, we think we can do it all in the computer. And we said, that's excellent. Let's see what it looks like. And they said, well, we haven't done it but we will. So
trust in us.
easy. So over a period of a few weeks before we started actually shooting, they began to show us little samples of the computer digital dinosaurs, and they were amazing. They created a whole new world of visual effects in the computer. And so as a result, it looked completely different than science fiction horror films that had gone before. But what is so sort of satisfying about it was the fact that we were able to use this computer process, and they've over a period of time made it better and better. But if you look at the original movie, still, it has the same magic of the dinosaurs being alive. The computer work did not drop down to here. It stayed, very, very important to the story. And they built all the rest of the computer work on it. So it's to me very rewarding to know that the first film is often said to be the best because it was new. It brought a whole new type of filmmaking And so I am very, very pleased with the opportunity, but the work that we did to create this new world of computer visual effects.
Este año trabajó en 2 capítulos de The Book of Boba Fett. ¿Cómo fue su experiencia dentro de ese universo?
I think that I look at Boba Fett and The Mandalorian, which is the one I did after that, as a great experience to do what I enjoy doing most in cinematography, creating a world that is different
And you.
and new. What was fun about Boba Fett and Mandalorian is that the world they live in is completely imaginary and created by the artists, the production designer, all of the people. And it gives me the opportunity to tell a story about a different world in a way that is appropriate for for that scene, that movie, that episode. And also it was what was important, I think, about it was the fact that the technology that was being used, the volume, as it's called, which is a stage that has a very large screen all around it, 75 feet, 25 feet, and it's a screen that is all LED, like a giant television screen. And the worlds that can be created there are completely different. And it gives you the chance to use this new technology to tell new stories. And I very much enjoyed working Boba Fett and Mandalorian because the technology allowed us to do things and that I have never done before, and to learn to experience this new technology and be part of creating it and passing it on. So, you know, the images that you are capturing.
Yeah. Okay, Dean, nothing. Thank you from me, Guille, and I think I spoke for the audience also. In general, for all your work, right? For the passion and dedication that you put in your work. Thank you for Halloween, Jurassic Park, Back to the Future, Mandalorian, and many others, and for making us believe in new worlds. Thank you for that magic, Dean. Really.
Gracias, Dean.
Pues gracias. Es un placer.
See you.
Nos vemos pronto.
Thank you so much.
Estamos en contacto.
Stay in touch.
Claro que sí.